evening. My name is Meredith Barber. I am the Vice President for Development and Marketing at Merit School of Music, and it is my pleasure to welcome you here tonight for our very first Live from Merit. Live from Merit is a free online educational series that we're launching to bring together creative thinkers, performers, and change makers who are help redefining music education. Tonight, we're featuring a new and innovative partnership between the Merit School of Music and the Foundation for Hearing and Speech. I couldn't be more proud to introduce you to this wonderful program. I know many of you are here tonight because you're familiar with Merit, or you're familiar with the Foundation for Hearing and Speech. And a few of you I know are familiar with both. We're so glad that all of you are here joining us. For those of you that are new to Merit, Merit School of Music is a community music school. We engage 3,000 students from over 135 zip codes across the Chicagoland area in a sustained, intensive music education. All our work is driven by the belief that talent is equally distributed, but opportunity is not, and we at Merit provide that place of opportunity. The Foundation for Hearing and Speech is dedicated to providing support for deaf and hard of hearing children and their families in Illinois. Their work is predicated on the fact that they want to assure that children with hearing loss have the opportunity to develop to their full potential and to enjoy the same social, educational, and economic opportunities as their peers. And now the question is, why is Merit and the Foundation for Hearing and Speech together here tonight? So it's long been proven that music education dramatically impacts a child's development and well-being. Today, visionary music educators are finding out that the benefits of music education are especially beneficial to children who are deaf and hard of hearing. Here we have our agenda, and you'll see what our wonderful panelists are going to lead you through. Music education for deaf and hard of hearing students, some statistics, a little bit of more background on FHSR, hearing assistance technology, and then we'll lead to the meat and potatoes of the program, which is the Music to My Ears program, which is our collaboration. And now it is my absolute pleasure to introduce our panelists. We have Kristen Van Dyke, the Executive Director from the Foundation for Hearing and Speech Rehabilitation, and Merit School of Music's own Sally Blandon, our Early Childhood and General Music Program Director and the lead teacher of our Music to My Ears program. Thank you so much. Kristen, take it away.
Thanks, Meredith. Good evening, everyone. On behalf of the Board of Directors and myself, we are thrilled to partner with the Merit School of Music for our Music to My Ears program and for this presentation. The Foundation could not ask for a better strategic partner to bring all the joy and educational benefits of music into the lives of deaf and hard of hearing children in Illinois. And it's those benefits of music education that bring us all here tonight. The benefits of music education, as Meredith pointed out, have been well known for children with normal hearing. For children with hearing loss, it's come to the forefront in the last 2 decades, creating a strong argument for the importance of including a focus on music education for these children to enhance their lives. We've seen in recently published articles in 2019 that there's growing evidence of the associations between the participation in more musical activities and improved speech perception and language skills, from pitch to intensity, along with speech stress and word finding and verbal intelligence. In fact, researchers have found correlations between music education and enhanced language perception at many levels, from syllable processing to turn-taking in natural conversations. So what does this mean? It means that by providing this complex auditory stimuli and tight interactions between perception and action, music training is thought to enhance top-down auditory processing and induce brain plasticity along with auditory working memory. Why is auditory working memory important? Auditory working memory is our ability to take in information that is presented orally out loud, process it, and retain it in one's mind, and then recall it later. It is literally the cornerstone for language development and literacy for all children. And I would argue even more important for deaf and hard of hearing children. The benefits of music go far beyond that. There's so many social aspects children socializing with their friends and their peers, both hard of hearing and normal hearing. The ability to use proper breathing and articulation translates back into sentence structure and conversation, increased ease and complexity of sentence structure. An ability to hear songs and tunes in a noisy environment will directly correlate back to a child being able to locate the sound and be able to hear within those same environments and have conversations. There's a growth in their ability to know word rhythmic patterns and regularity, all of which layers onto each other to help that child with hearing loss acquire language, which is the #1 goal. And all of the pieces and the science behind it are amazing, and we are thrilled with it. But I have to tell you, my favorite thing is to actually see the kids performing and to see the joy on their faces when they are in music class is so incredibly moving. I want to share a quick video with you of our children singing the hello song.
Here we go. Hello, hello. I like to say hello, hello, hello. I love to say hello, hello. I love to say hello. What you been doing? What's new? And how are you?
I mean, that video just makes me want to jump in and take class with them and start singing the hello song. It's just so amazing. I think it's important to talk a little bit about how many kids are born with hearing loss in Illinois. Let's go over some of the easy statistics. So in Illinois alone, approximately 310 children are born with hearing loss that is detected at birth through newborn hearing screening. That number increases to about 500 kids with delayed diagnosis and delayed onset. So if we look at the course of a decade, we have 5,000 Illinois children living with some level of hearing loss. Now, there's both a personal family cost to having a child with hearing loss and a state level cost for services provided. By creating programs that address the hearing loss early on, the foundation works to reduce those costs to both the family and then the state benefit. So why do we do this? Who is FHSR? Some of you know us, some of you do not. We are a 60-year-old grassroots nonprofit organization dedicated to improving the lives of children with hearing loss. We strive to remove barriers that prevent deaf and hard of hearing children from achieving their full potential. We want them to enjoy the same outcomes as their hearing peers, socially, educationally, and economically. Our programs are built and our funding supports ways to help put those children on the most successful trajectory they have available to them. So we support innovative educational programs like the one we're here to talk about tonight, clinical services, equipment, and social services to enable those children to fully participate in all aspects of society. There's a lot of reasons why we take this holistic approach. We've been around for a couple of years, so we've really kind of worked at it for a while. But the reason really why we take this holistic approach is these children face so many challenges. There are so many hurdles that they have to overcome at such young ages. We as a foundation want to step in and help ease that burden for them. They face education attainment issues, quality of life, social integration, and communication challenges, both at home and at school. Our goal is really to make sure that we're there for those children every step of the way, from birth all the way through young adulthood. So let's talk a little bit about technology. Some of you may be experts in the technology that is available in today's market to assist children, but I'm just going to give a brief little overview, starting with the cochlear implant. So what is a cochlear implant and how is it different than a hearing aid? An implant is a surgically implanted hearing device designed for individuals who have been diagnosed with severe to profound hearing loss. They're deaf. Their cochlea, the hairs in their cochlea, are unable to process the sound quickly enough for the auditory brainstem to pick it up. It consists of two parts. There's an internal electrode and an external processor that's worn on the ear that works to capture the sound. The sound is captured and then it's digitalized and transferred into the internal electrode, which then sends the signal of sound to the auditory brainstem. Now, it's only through intense habilitation that a child's brain learns to identify the signal as sound and discriminate what that sound represents. A cochlear implant gives the child who is born profoundly deaf access to sound where there was none before. Now, if your child is born with a mild to moderate hearing loss, the recommendation is probably going to be a hearing aid. A hearing aid amplifies sound. So it sits behind the ear. There's no surgery that goes along with it. And what this does is it allows the child who has degrees of hearing loss to be able to access the full range of sound. So they may not hear a high or a low sound, and this will amplify that sound enough so the child has it and will help the child to achieve natural spoken language. The final piece of technology that I want to tell you about tonight is the BAHA. This is a bone conduction implant. The BAHA is used for children who have congenital defects or issues with their middle ear that prevents the sound from getting to the cochlea. The BAHA is an implant. It's a sound processor with a small titanium fixture that's implanted behind the ear, and it takes in the sound, and instead of going through the middle ear, it bypasses the middle ear and sends the sound right through to the cochlea so the auditory brainstem can pick up that sound. There have been so many advances in the last 15 years in hearing technology, both from the hearing aid side to the BAHA to the cochlear implant. We are identifying children younger. We are giving them higher quality technology, better access to sound, and more well thought out programming. Because of all of this technology, children have the ability to access music. It's important. Music is meaningful. It is part of everyone's life, and all of those children deserve to have that in their life. So let's talk a little bit about what brings us here today. And as Meredith told you, it is our amazing partnership with the Merit School of Music with our Music to My Ears program. FHSR started this program in 2019. We committed to providing a year of tuition-free music education for children born with hearing loss in Illinois and their primary caregiver up to the age of 4. We did it because we want to give the kids the joy of music, but we also wanted to lay the groundwork for increased auditory skills, language development, and cognitive strength. And we couldn't think of anything better than the early childhood enrichment music classes to do it with. This fall, we introduced individual tuition-free instrument lessons at Merit School of Music for our deaf and hard of hearing children. These children will be able to take private lessons and group lessons with piano or strings and be able to continue the work that they started and increase their auditory skills, their language development, and their cognitive strength through working with these amazing instructors and giving them the lifelong benefits of playing an instrument. It is my ultimate goal to see an entire group of our students up on stage playing a concert sometime in the not so distant future. In January of 2020, which I know seems very long ago, but it really wasn't that long ago, in partnership with Merit, we expanded to start our school-based program with 2 pilot schools. We were so proud. We started with Child's Voice, which is an oral deaf school in Wooddale, Illinois, and also Children of Peace, Trinity School for the Deaf, which is located right here in Chicago. At Child's Voice, we provide the curriculum music program. At Children of Peace, Trinity School for the Deaf, we provide tuition-free after-school programming. Here, we are giving the gift of music and all the educational benefits to these children living with hearing loss that did not have access to this high-quality programming before we came in and started our Music to My Ears school-based classroom. I can talk about it all night, but I think it would be great to show you a video of our children out at Child's Voice, which is the oral deaf school in Wooddale. And this is from, gosh, maybe February of 2020, so it was pre-COVID. but take a look. I think you're going to enjoy this video.
Hello, neighbor. What do you say? What do you say? It's gonna be a happy day. Your turn. It's gonna be a happy day. Can you greet your neighbor? Greet your neighbor. Ready, boogie on down. Give a bump. And turn around. All right, now we're gonna do.
Oh my gosh, I love that video. I could watch it all night. And that amazing instructor is our very own Sally Blandon. Sally has played an integral role in the program development and curriculum for our school-based program and for our early childhood classes. Besides the fact that she has an amazing voice, we feel the time and dedication she has invested into the children will pay huge dividends to all aspects of their student lives. I'm going to bring Sally on because I would love for her to talk to us a little bit more about our Music to My Ears school-based classes. So without further ado, Sally, welcome.
Thank you so much, Kristen. It is such a pleasure to be here. I feel truly honored to be able to share some of the joy of music that I've been able to experience in the classroom with these children. So I'd like to talk about, how does music enhance a child's development? Well, as you can imagine, it stimulates all areas of the brain. And as you saw, there was a lot going on in that video, which is a reflection of 5 notable areas that are stimulated by music. So there are 5 areas of the brain that are responsible for cognition, social emotional learning, literacy and language, math and logic, and physical aspects. So all children, in my opinion, everyone needs music, especially children, but it is especially beneficial for our deaf and hard of hearing students. So some of you may know this, some of you may not, but did you know that children that are deaf and hard of hearing have 2 birthdays? And I would like to invite Kristen back to talk about what that looks like for a child who is born with hearing loss or loses hearing eventually.
Yeah, thanks, Sally. That's such a great emotional moment for families. So your birthday is your birthday. And if you have a child who was born with hearing loss, their hearing birthday is their amplification day. So that means either they get their BAHA attached, their cochlear implant is activated, or they receive their first pair of hearing aids. And truly, to see the looks on the parents' faces when their child hears their voice for the first time, it is one of the most moving things you'll ever see. It's incredible.
Yeah, I've experienced it because I've looked it up to see, and there's some videos that you can find online, and it's really incredible to just even watch a video of it. I can only imagine what it would be like in person. So in today's discussion, I'd like to focus on 3 of the 5 notable areas and how music is highly beneficial and extremely instrumental in the development of children with hearing loss. So we're going to focus a lot on the physical aspects, but also on the social emotional learning and processing, and then also the language development and literacy development that occurs. So let's dive right into the physical. For the sake of context, and or to those of you who are new to these concepts, there is something that's called proprioceptive feedback in kinesthesia. So proprioceptive feedback provides a neural representation of body mechanics to the central nervous system. So the way I like to describe it is a sensation or feeling of something. As it relates to music, singing is the best example. So just think about when you're trying to sing in the shower, or you're speaking, or you're angry, there's a sensation that you feel in your voice. So this is a little bit different than kinesthesia, which is a fancy word for muscle memory, or what is referred to the ability to perceive the extent, direction or weight of a movement. In everyday life, the best way to describe that would be walking, riding a bicycle, running. As it relates to music, muscle memory plays a huge role in playing instruments. So piano, the guitar, there's finger positionings that become muscle memory when you learn an instrument. So the next second clip is from a virtual class at Child's Voice. And this video highlights a musical activity called Down is the Earth that uses both proprioception and kinesthesia. In this instance, right, singing and then muscle memory, we're doing some choreographed movements. It may not seem like a big deal, but the fact that these students are vocalizing, for one, and then also engaging and moving around, it's huge. By using these musical activities and presenting them as games, we stimulate the nervous system of the child in such a way that our deaf and hard of hearing students are habilitating their gross and fine motor musculature, meanwhile becoming more confident exploring musicality in their bodies and voices. And it's really awesome to see, especially when it clicks. So I hope you enjoy Down is the Earth.
And will you do it nice and loud so I can hear you all the way in Humboldt Park, Chicago? Yeah? Ready, Lulu? Let me hear you. You're gonna everyone sing along with her though too, okay? We go. Is the earth and nice and loud. Up is the sky. Very nice and woohoo! Oh.
I love that clip. So something I forgot to mention there was that Lulu was actually leading the class. So we started out taking small bites of this activity and we would do it together, but then I allowed the children to start leading the class, and it was really awesome to see them becoming more confident in doing it and letting their voices slide. So that's an example of how proprioception and kinesthetic movement can work together, because they're painting a picture with their bodies and their voices.
Hey, Sally, you know what I loved best about that? You know, the key components in your curriculum is that you're connecting sound to movement. You know, and we saw in that video that the kids are going from high to low body movement with vocal reinforcement in the physical connection. And it's just so amazing, because that is going to pay dividends when it comes to voice modulation and sentence structure as they start to explode from a language perspective.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, I want to dive into a little bit of muscle memory. So remember that muscle memory is the ability to perceive the extent, direction, and weight of movement. So in music, there is something called Kerwin hand signs, and it's actually something that's not used a lot. It used to be used a lot more back in the day, still occasionally used, but for the sake of the classes with our deaf and hard of hearing students, I really reinforce these Kerwin hand signs. Now, you probably have seen The Sound of Music, and you've heard the song, "Doe, a deer, a female deer," and there are these hand symbols, again, Kerwin hand signs, where they're doing different scale degrees of a octave. So in our class, we do a routine attendance activity where I call out to the child by their name and I do an interval, and then they respond back to me with their Kerwin hand signs, and they sing a descending major triad. So it sounds something like "so, mi, do," or "here I am." And it's really, really cute. And they, in the beginning, were having, you know, a hard time memorizing, but as time went on, the children had become more comfortable and the muscle memory or the kinesthetic learning started kicking in. So this next example showcases Miss Isabel, and I really love watching it because she would sometimes flip her hands, but she finally got it to click.
We're gonna take attendance. Everyone remember their hand signals? We're up in the bed, laying down in the bed, and fell off the bed. And we say, watch my mouth, this is what we say. We say, here I am. Here I am. Okay, you ready? All right, Isabel, let's go first. Isabel.
Here I am.
Woo! All right. Isaiah.
Sally, that was amazing. Isabel's vocal growth has been incredible over this past couple of months. I mean, the strength in her voice, and she's coming closer to being on pitch, which is such a key component for speech production for a child with hearing loss. It's incredible.
Yeah, I agree. It's been really incredible. So I've noticed that sometimes the students will be intimidated to sing out loud, and then over time they gain the confidence, but it's really cool when they relax, they start to sing on pitch, and it's been something that's been incremental, and Isabel's definitely been improving. She usually always lands on the tonic, or like the home base of the descending triad, which is really great.
So cool.
Yeah. Moving on to some more of the physical aspects, I want to talk a little bit about inhibitory control and how music plays a role. So when children with hearing loss engage in music classes, they learn how to be active listeners. So I want to be very mindful about what that means, right? When you're an active listener, you make the choice to listen. It's different than the inherent ability to hear, or when you have a device, the inherent ability to hear. So this is, again, instrumental in auditory habilitation. Okay, so this is a skill that is not only used in music, but also throughout life. So just think about that also. Music reinforces the habilitation process and teaches our DHH students how to actively listen and develop their sense of auditory discrimination. So auditory discrimination looks like this. It is learning the distinctions of sound in regards to pitch, so high, low, or timbre, the texture of sound, ooh, smooth, bumpy, patterns, sequencing, etc. So this relates to other life skills also, such as sentence structuring, cadence, how fast or slow we speak or how we move our bodies, following directions at school or just listening for directions, awareness of your surroundings as it relates to crossing the street or something like that, turn taking, not just with toys, but also in conversation or in social surroundings. So we're about to see another example, and this is of a student who is performing their virtual homework. Her name is Zoe, and I had asked the students to practice and to perform two patterns. One was a four quarter note pattern, and I asked them to count it out loud and recite it verbally, and then to do it physically, and then to do it together. And then I asked them to do another pattern, which was 3/4 notes with a quarter rest, which is just what it is, rest in music and freezing our bodies. So the same fine motor musculature used in breaking down and reading musical patterns are also the same muscles used in developing early literacy. Here's something else I'd like to talk about or to keep in mind. Your brain is a pattern-seeking muscle, okay? So because it is a pattern-seeking muscle, this is why it's extremely beneficial for children with hearing loss to practice these types of exercises. So here is Miss Zoe doing her rhythmic pattern.
1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3.
She's so cute.
Oh my God, that's so great. She did such a great job of following that rhythmic pattern. You know,
Yeah.
all of those games you guys have played in class have really paid off. I mean, I think one of the biggest reasons why you incorporate this activity is it's going to support the children to identify patterns and assist with spoken language acquisition.
Yeah. And that exercise, we we worked our way up to reading that pattern, and we did an activity called Walk and Stop. And basically it was the similar pattern as the 3/4 notes and a quarter rest. It just sounded a little different. So they kind of internalized the feeling, again, that proprioception and kinesthesia.
Yeah.
They had been practicing that. And then I gave them the visual and we talked about what it was. And we first started making the sound, which was a ta. And then currently we're learning that it's a quarter note. So they're learning how to read the notation.
That's incredible.
That's a little bit of the physical, but I'd like to move on now to the social emotional aspects, which is huge. Processing our social and emotional feelings, but then also just developing social emotional intelligence, and how music plays a huge therapeutic role in that also. So many students who have hearing loss experience a multitude of appointments with their rehabilitation team, such as doctors, speech pathologists, audiologists, etc. So it is only normal that children may feel a bit insecure about performing a task or participating in an activity, but music, it's been proven to help remove these barriers by allowing our DHA students to forget that they're habilitating and exercising a variety of their gross and fine motor musculature. They're having fun while they're doing that. And then not only is that happening, but they're also creating and strengthening various neurological pathways, which is just huge for them. It's therapeutic and they don't even know it because it's fun. The following snippet is one of my favorites because it's going to show you my student Audrey. And Audrey was very, very nonverbal, extremely shy in music class in the beginning of the year. She'd sometimes occasionally cry, or she'd kind of hide when I call on her to participate in an activity or to answer a question or what have you. She just didn't feel safe or comfortable. So I did my best to support her by giving her space so she could get acquainted with the activities and feel comfortable, and just kind of let the activity settle in through observation. And it was really, really wonderful because it gave her the space that she needed. And over the course of the year, she has become much more confident and engaged. And she truly came out of her shell. And something else I'd like to point out is that one of the benefits of remote learning this year for her specifically was I believe, felt that I was at home with her because it was me and her on the screen. So I think not having all the other kids around actually did help her come out of her shell a little bit. So this is a perfect illustration of how music can help a child gain confidence and feel really proud for doing something. So here we're doing a rhythmic echo, and I do these with all the activities.
Okay. Audrey, are you ready? Ooh, yeah? Okay. Ready? 1, 2, listen, please. Turkey stuffing, really good.
Something really good.
Woo! That was You did do it. You did do it. We're eating all sorts of yummy food. John.
Oh, Sally, that was awesome. Audrey was so proud of herself for performing that task. And that's really difficult to have the self-esteem and the courage and the confidence to do that. That's just really such a wonderful example of how she's grown over this last year.
Yeah, and it's actually a clip from a class that occurred, I want to say, within the last 2 or so weeks.
Yeah.
So it's very, very new. And I was really surprised when she reacted that way and that she did it, because there's many times where she's just really quiet, but that was her day that it clicked and she felt safe and comfortable. And it was awesome because she was really excited. And the rhythmic echoes are really great, which is a great segue to the next point that I'd like to talk about, which is language development and literacy. So we do these rhythmic echoes with different patterns in language that are really beneficial. So the area of the brain responsible for interpreting music also overlaps with the area responsible for language acquisition. Again, those patterns. In this final clip below, we will see our younger music master's class engaging in another routine attendance activity. So it looks a little different for our younger children, and we do, again, a little bit of call and response. But as a reminder, the fact that the DHH students are engaging and vocalizing, it's huge. I want to just really point that out. I used a puppet to assist in playful, uninhibited learning. There have been many times when we've done this activity where the children are nonverbal and they feel a little insecure like Audrey did. But I found that in the virtual setting, using the puppet and also in the classroom, it changed the dynamic in the classroom. And by bringing my special guest, Mr. Owl, our students became much more inspired to play along and engage. So I'd like to show you Miss Violet in this clip. And she was also very shy in the beginning. So this is a great little video also.
Music class. Violet! Where is Violet? Where is Violet?
Here I am. Here I am.
I'm so glad to see you. I'm so glad to see you in music class. Music.
Oh, Sally, we love that call and response component to the music classes. It does such a great job of building on turn taking, which is really going to translate for these kiddos into natural conversations, to a style that is completely natural. It's really just such a wonderful component that you've layered into the classes.
Thank you. And something else that I just thought of is while the children are waiting for their turn, there's something else happening called audiation. So if I were to sing a melody to you and take the words out, usually you'll sing them along in your mind. So if I hummed,
Right.
you know that that's Twinkle Twinkle Little Star, and you're singing the words in your mind. And so the children, while they're waiting, as they're getting used to the activity, they're reciting the words in their little minds also. So there's just a lot going on. Even though they might be silent, they're still learning, and it's still really great. So these are just a couple examples of some of the musical activities we are performing in class. I've tried my best to take Merit's curriculum and customize it to meet the needs of a child with hearing loss. And I truly feel really just humbled and honored to be able to engage with these children and be a part of their everyday life and their development. They've responded very, very well to both in-person learning and our online platform. At this point, I've actually been with them more virtually than I have in person, because I believe we started this program at Child's Voice in mid-January, and then we were shut down by early mid-March. And so, just all those little connections that we made together, they were still connected even though we were virtual. So it's been really great to see them develop and excel. It's awesome.
Oh, I love it, Sally. Thank you so much for this presentation today. It was just a little recap of what you've been doing and the incredible work you've been accomplishing with those children. You're really changing their lives, and we at the foundation couldn't be more thrilled with the success we're seeing coming out of both of our pilot schools. Really being able to build on this, we look forward to expanding to 2 new schools in fall of 2021 and hopefully beyond, because this is clearly a curriculum that brings both the joy and all the pleasures of music, but all of the solid education that music can bring into children who are living with hearing loss lives. that will help put them on a more successful trajectory. Thank you for all of your hard work. And thank you to Merit for all of their hard work as well.
Thank you for having us and having me.
Oh, thank you, both Sally and thank you, Kristen. I've learned so much and I can't take the smile off my face from watching some of those little kiddos and their amazing progress and growth. I am sure that all of you in our audience are feeling the same. We already have a couple of questions, so I want to open this up to anyone. You can place your question in the Q&A or in the chat. Either way, we will see it. We'll get to as many as we can in the few minutes that we have left. The first question that we have is, are some of these children fully deaf, or do most of them have a hearing device? Kristen, can you go ahead and answer that?
Sure. So we have a wide range, but all of the children have some kind of technology that is supporting them. You have some children that have cochlear implants, single side or both sides. You have some with just hearing aids, others with one hearing aid and one cochlear implant. But every child enrolled at Child's Voice specifically is in an oral program and has technology that is supporting them to hear.
So our next question is related to that. Along with that, are we implementing any ASL, any American Sign Language into the curriculum? It looks like we have an educator who's interested in bringing ASL to the classroom, and she's curious to hear what we have to say.
Yeah, that's a great question. And we're actually doing that, and Sally, you can talk about this too a little bit, at our Trinity School for the Deaf program. The after-school program is, this program over there at Trinity is a total communication program. So they span all communication style, both oral and ASL. So when Avo, who is our instructor for the after-school program, is with the children, he has support from an ASL interpreter there who is assisting the children as both online and in person. So we're providing those services because we want everyone to have access to music.
And I should have mentioned that at Child's Voice, they actually use a different approach. And Kristen, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe that everything at Child's Voice is oral, and they focus on self-advocacy, and they don't actually use ASL at the school. So
Correct.
I actually do use ASL in all of my early childhood classes, even my Spanish bilingual class that I teach at Merit. I use ASL because it's very helpful, especially for younger toddlers and children that aren't yet speaking. It's a different way for them to communicate, and you'd be very surprised at how quickly they memorize ASL. Yeah. So I would definitely encourage you to use as much ASL in your classes as possible, because it is really, really helpful.
We are just about out of time, and I don't see other questions, but I just have one last question for Sally. Being new to this program and helping create it, is there one thing that surprised you the most about the students and the experience?
Ooh, the students and the experience. I am honestly, truly just humbled by the children and how resilient they are. I would say that one of the most touching things that I've experienced this year was at the end of the school year. I had worked on, when we went to remote learning, I did virtual tutorials to supplement just educational content, since we had to shorten classes because Zoom fatigue is a thing. So anywho, we practiced a song called May There Always Be Sunshine. And the children practiced their song and they did it, and then they performed it, and they all did a speech. There were a couple of them that were graduating. And what was really touching for me was, again, how resilient they were. And one of the things that the students said was, I am the boss of my hearing loss. And I just started bawling my eyes out. I mean, my husband was on the verge of tears because he watched this like graduation with me, and it just was really, really touching, and it was just humbling. So it's transformed me in the way that I approach teaching and the way that I experience children. And yeah, I would say that that's it.
That's a great answer. We have
Incredible.
one last question in the interim before we sign off. How has wearing masks during the pandemic impacted DHH children and their ability to understand language and read lips?
Yeah, that's a great question. It's been a real big hurdle for our children. Really, children who rely on speech reading at any choice of communication style, even children who are oral with implants, still at some point rely on lip reading. And it's been a real big hurdle. Now, some of the schools, I know Child's Voice, when they were actually in school before they went to virtual, they had the clear face mask so that the students and the teachers and the support staff could talk. I believe Trinity has the exact same situation. It's very helpful. If there was one thing we could do, it would be to advocate for everyone to wear a clear face mask so that everyone was accessible, because it is very, very difficult for the children.
Well, I want to thank you. I want to thank everyone for taking the time to join us tonight and learn more about this really interesting subject. I've felt honored as well just to be a part of it in a small way. Thank you to Sally for all that you are doing and for joining us tonight. Thank you to Kristen for joining us.